A short history of nearly everything. A journey through space and time. Well, that's nice. These are video summaries from the book itself. This is a 6-part series, each one video for each part. Part 1. Lost in the Cosmos. Chapter 1. How to build a universe. So basically, in this chapter, we actually learn about the universe's origins, what you actually need to create a universe itself too, and how you could actually use this as a big advantage for your own play when it comes to actually creating the universe. When it comes to the universe, it actually turns out that no one really knows what happened before singularity. And what is a singularity, first of all? Well, a singularity is basically that little thing compact with everything inside, and then suddenly, when the Big Bang started, this happened. And you might not see this, but the little singularity is there. Kaboom! And it starts expanding. Less than a second later, a lot of the universe is still created. 1 second later, we reach a lot of heat, and we still have the matter. We have enough things to actually start create the first stuff. 3 minutes later, we start creating the basic units that create atoms, protons, neutrons, and eventually like electrons. 300,000 years later, we create the first atoms. Then 1,000 million years later, we create the first universes. Oh no. 1,000 million years later, the galaxies. And 15,000 million years later, we even create our solar system. And that is basically today. So what actually happened to the singularity and what happened before singularity? Well, we can't actually say what happened before the singularity because time was non-existent. Everything literally came out, and it didn't expand through an empty void as you might think. It just felt like it was like that. Instead, it expanded in the space that it created as it went on, like filling water, like filling a piece of water, but then you like expand the borders and you keep filling it too. That's basically what it is. Yeah, and it turns out that one of the first elements possible were hydrogen, and basically you need to compact every single little mass that we have in this universe right now into one little single ball of singularity, which is probably less than a nanometer long. And that is going to be pretty hard. So we don't exactly know what happened at the singularity, but we do know that it's probably impossible to do with today's technology, at least with today's technology. Chapter 2. Welcome to the solar system. Yay! Here is the Earth, and that is very disproportional. In this chapter, we start talking about the formation of the solar system with the sun starting first, and then we go to Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, the inner planets, then we go to the asteroid belt, then to Jupiter and the outer planets and the gas giants and all that. However, in the ice giants too, and then we go to the Kuiper belt, then the ice belt, and then the other dwarf planets too. But then we go back to Earth because we only know lots about the Earth. We know so little about space still. Compared to what we know on Earth, we know space better than our own oceans, to be honest, but we'll get to that later in a moment. Also, when we go to the Earth did not look like this. Instead, the Earth was a big bubble of hot water, and then eventually it was cool enough. The vapor turned into clouds, which rained the whole surface. And that melted some of the things down, and so it eventually, after the rain stopped and this big thunderstorm that actually saved life on Earth started, and then basically we got to the oceans. We created everything, the oceans, and eventually land, but not like that because back then land was just a big piece of blob called Pangea. It's a big supercontinent, basically a big island. You know it as Pangea. So welcome to the solar system. Oh yeah, there are also meteorites sometimes every few thousand years, so be careful of them. Chapter 3. Reverend Evans' Universe. So this is basically what it talks about. We are talking about supernova here, but basically we're also talking about this guy at the same time. You know why? Because of this. Reverend Evan is doing lots and lots of good work. He is pretty good at supernova hunting, so he does this instead and during his time. He goes into the sky, the night sky, and then he looks at it. And basically, he remembers every sort of star there is, and he remembers it if it moves. And then, let's say there's this, one little dot that was added. And he, within just a few seconds, could spot that little piece of dot, that little piece of stardust. It's like letting him see this table, and it'll make him look away, and add a little speck there, and then, right then, he'll see it. Ah, it's there. Now do 20 times the number of tables, but still the same amount of grains of salt added, which is 1. He'll still spot it. And that extra bit is called the supernova. Basically, we're looking at a projection of the past. Because since light from those stars reaches so in the past, we can only see what happened before now. But that's just something. The only thing that I seem to be able to see here is that turns out nothing seems to be going right in this part too, because in here Reverend Evans does a pretty good job at finding supernovae, at least, and he can probably calculate when and how soon it happened, how long it happened ago. And if there was a supernovae that seemed to have happened and going to happen, well, we're safe from it, because we're framed from any distance from a star too. You have to be ridiculously close to a star that turns into a supernova to have his effects. And the sun is not going to turn into supernova because it doesn't have enough mass. So that's a relief. Basically, Reverend Evans' universe is about supernovae. And so that is basically the end of today's episode. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I actually hope to see you guys in my future episodes too. So, until next time, Schnan out. Peace. Why am I singing Peppa Pig?